Boy, do we ever need a bye week now? Um, where to start on this one? I don't think I've ever been as disgusted throughout a Vikings win as I was with this one. Um, so I mean, Vikings win 21-17 over Cleveland. Hit the bye 3-2. Like, miraculous pull a rabbit out of the hat drive in the final minutes from Carson Wentz and company. And credit a couple fantastic throws on that final drive. And it salvaged what was going to be the end of the season. And it might still be the end of the season because honestly, you win on a last-second touchdown pass. There's always excitement, but it doesn't give me a lot of hope for the season. Because the Vikings played an absolutely terrible football game today. I hoped for something different. Hoped for something a little different. You're facing obviously a bad Browns team, and they're starting a rookie quarterback in Dylan Gabriel, and you're coming off the Pittsburgh game, which a couple things go differently. Maybe you win, but you're still just trying to claw back into the season being something. And again, we had another game where a lot of the same problems popped up again, and it started pretty good. I mean, we all loved the little Cam Akers touchdown pass to Josh Oliver. First touchdown pass by a non-QB since 2008. Kind of surprising. That was kind of it for a while. We got, and then Mason got a touchdown. Usually I go back and check kind of the play-by-play of the game before I do these, so I'm kind of probably gonna forget. I was kind of just disgusted for so much of the game. I wasn't even really that focused in on anything. It was a lot of the same problems. We had a bunch of penalties. We got absolutely embarrassed on the ground. I mean, they have like Browns have a nice, I think it's a rookie running back, but come on, man. We got Saquon Barkley in 2 weeks. What are you doing? Like, every time they ran outside, they were getting big chunks on us. I thought there was a lack of effort on some of the runs too, especially that second half. They were just running it right down our throats, and we just couldn't stop it. Frankly, I don't know why they stopped. Why they kind of went away from that a little bit. That probably cost them the game. And we lost the turnover battle 2-0. I think this might be the first time they've won a game under O'Connell, losing the turnover battle. Because both running backs fumbled. Mason fumbled on the first drive. And there they go. They're showing the highlights here at the start of Red Zone. I can kind of remind myself of everything that happened. Yeah, the first fumble was the Mason fumble. And then they went down and scored a touchdown. And then we got the Cam Akers touchdown to tie it up. And I forget how Cleveland got their second touchdown. I think that was the Dylan Gabriel touchdown pass. And we, I think, scraped by with a field goal at the half or something. And it looked like Carson Wentz was hurt, actually, at the end of the half. At the end of the first half, I don't know if they taped up his shoulder or gave him a shot or something, or it was looking like it was going to be Max Brosmer maybe going in the second half. And for much of the second half, we were hoping that it was Max Brosmer because, The offense was a little better today. I mean, we were even more shorthanded on the line. God, I can't think. Blake Brandel was the center. Justin School was the right tackle. Um, and it's almost impossible to keep track, because they put Ryan Kelly on IR, so he's out for a while. The offensive line looked better today. Why did they look better today? Because there was a little more creativity in the offense. KOC was not calling 5 and 7 step drops on every play. I mean, I'm sure there were some, but there weren't a lot. It was a lot of quick throws, a lot of quick runs, quick, so you don't have to have these backup offensive linemen, some of them playing out of position. Block a good defense, for very long. Myles Garrett, I think he had one sack, maybe more than one. But he wasn't a dominant, like, game-wrecking force. So, but it's what was pissing me off last week is they weren't calling the game around the problem. Today, KOC called the game around the problem. There were still some individual plays that were pretty bad, but I think overall it was a little better. I mean, we only scored 21 points, but I mean, it's not like it was an offensive showcase, but it was a little better. It was a little more like KOC knows what the hell's going on. I didn't like that he was. I guess they pulled Darisaw out of the game, not for injury, but because he's essentially on a snap count. They didn't have him out there at the end of the game. I mean, I'm sorry, like, it worked out. But why the hell are we sitting? Our elite left tackle when the season's on the line? But it worked out. And for some reason, Jordan Addison was, I guess, benched for the first quarter. That's the thing you do in the pros. You've heard of that in college, but I don't know. But yeah, I think there was it wasn't a great performance, but it was a little better. It was a little more, a little more sane. And there's the Eagles, who we got to play next after the bye. I don't know. Saquon's coming for that 296. If we play like we did, I don't know who's coming back. Maybe Blake Cashman, maybe Gink. I don't know who's coming back. Hopefully everybody, but maybe even McCarthy. I don't know what, ultimately the performance from Wentz. It always comes down to talking about the quarterback. I don't know if the performance from Wentz is enough to hold off McCarthy for the Eagles game. I suppose it's just, is he healthy? But now he's Wentz healthy. I mean, if they're both kind of banged up, maybe you just say, well, we'll still go with McCarthy. He's banged up. Focusing on the football games. Like, I think they did okay on this Gabriel fella. Got him on the ground a couple times. I mean, it wasn't like they absolutely dominated the kid. I thought overall the defense. I mean, they gave up only 17 points, so you can't necessarily trash them that much. But boy, they were bad on the run. And they did hit a few throws on us. It wasn't like, again, if you give up 17 points, that's usually a decent enough performance. But Cleveland was in much better field position, I think, for almost this entire game than we were. Although I think Ryan Wright pinned him down there at the 1 once. Vikings. Vince Jefferson had a couple big catches. There was a couple really big ones. There was I know there was a third down. I think it might have been on that final drive. He caught a big one that was like a saving type of play, and then he had a really great one of those like back shoulder throws also. So he had a big game. Hawkinson had a couple real nice catches. They realized that he just quick throw right over the middle of Hawkinson, let him rumble for a little bit. That worked out a few times. Uh, Run game was decent. I mean, I didn't look at the stats. It wasn't explosive. I think the biggest run Mason had the whole game was probably the one that got called back by holding. I think that was the second to last drive. On the other, of course, the other thing that was an omen of doom was that Will Reichert missed a field goal for the first time this year. Missed it very, very badly. It was a long one, but it would have been a miss from anywhere. It was so bad. It was such a disgusting game because everything is just piling up again and again and again. It's just, we're 5 games into this and they've still looked so bad for most of this. I'm not overly enthusiastic about beating the Browns, even though they beat them in an exciting way. It's just, I just wonder what this team's hopes are. They got, screenshot it and posting it, like they have an 8-game run off the bye, not just the 4 games, but the ones after that. You got maybe 1 game against the Bears. That's it. And then you got a lot of tough games, and if they keep playing the way they're playing, they're going to be lucky to come out of that with even like 2 wins. Oh man, but I wish I could be more enthusiastic about a last-second win, last-second touchdown. Everybody thought that Hail Mary, and you could hear the whistles during the first try of that, but you thought, oh, what happens if they hit it on the second one? The KOC called the timeout, but they didn't even try Hail Mary. They tried like the short one, and maybe we're gonna try the laterals and shit, but yeah, I wish I could be more enthusiastic. Also, I'm tired of these 8:30 games. I'm so glad it's the last one. We don't have to do this shit anymore. Just reasonable start times. I mean, there's more European games, but they don't involve the Vikings, so I don't give a shit. I won't be getting up for those. But yeah, it was definitely an ugly win. I wish this team could play better. I just wish, I guess now that they won, you can kind of see, okay, here's a couple little signs of improvement. You hope the injury thing starts to swing back the other way and we can actually get some of these guys back. But again, I would say probably the most encouraging thing out of this is that KOC at least called the game better. He called the game a little more intelligently, knowing that the offensive line was going to be, a liability. So you hope that going forward, whatever the grouping ends up being, I have no idea who's due back. I think Jackson's going to be back after the bye. I think Juergens is going to be back after the bye. I don't know about O'Neal. Maybe he'll be back after the bye. Obviously, Ryan Kelly's out for a while, and with his concussions, I don't know if he's ever back. But, and of course, quarterback, who knows? I have no idea. I would not put money on it either way. Against the Eagles in 2 weeks, it could be Wentz, it could be McCarthy. Neither one would shock me. So what else? It's just, if you want this to be a meaningful Viking season and not just like a 8-win season, 9-win season, I feel like they had to be 4-1 at the bye and they didn't get that, so that was out last week. I think just the overall level of play has got to get better if this team is going to even just contend for a wild card. You can't. I mean, again, they won this game today, but they were playing Cleveland. Cleveland is one of the worst teams in football. Even if they have a decent defense, they're still one of the worst teams in football. And you're not going to get away with these things against the really good teams. We haven't faced a really good team yet. We faced, the 5 teams we've faced so far. Maybe a couple of them might be the play. I mean, Pittsburgh might be a playoff team. Maybe Atlanta. But I think Cleveland, Cincinnati, Chicago. I don't think any of those teams are going to be playoff teams. So now we're going to hit the gauntlet after the bye, and they better be ready, because it's not going to get any easier. And if you make it harder on yourselves with turnovers and penalties and poor tackling, it's just going to get worse. But I'm glad we won. I'm glad we won, because I didn't want to have to sit here for a whole Sunday again, and then for 2 weeks after that to be miserable. Being 2-3, sitting here miserable and looking at that schedule. I mean, the hope was going to be gone. The hope was gone for me during most of this game. I did not think there was really any hope. But they pulled it out. They got it, went out. This was a very, ultimately the way they wanted. This was a very kind of 2022, I suppose 2024 type of win. But the hope going forward for the Vikings is that you're not buried yet by any means. 3-2. You're very much in a playoff contention at 3-2 at least. And the hope is that maybe the roster can be completed a little more. You get injured guys back, and you're gonna have to beat some good teams though. So they're gonna have to be able to beat some good teams to really be in this the whole way. But the hope is that the best version of this Vikings team is in the future, and not. I sure as hell hope we haven't seen the best of this Vikings team, because this was not very fun. This is, I don't like being that kind of fan who's just getting pissed off watching the game all the time. But they gave me a lot of reason to be pissed off. So I'm tired. No more 8:30 starts, at least for the year. That's good. I think we got mostly just, I think we got a primetime game coming up against the Chargers, but other than that, I think it's all like nice afternoon games. So yeah, Vikings win 21-17. Carson Wentz, he took a few sacks, again, that I wish he hadn't taken, and he missed a couple throws, but I mean, just like he was, made some plays later in the game last week that, sometimes you just wish he'd sling it a little more, and to his credit, he didn't make the big turnover. I believe in 2 of his 3 starts now, he doesn't have an interception, so and I think the ones he's had have been tipped, so it's like, he's protected the football pretty well, and he threw and he threw a late touchdown to win the game, so can't complain about that. So, all right, Vikings win 21-17. We're 3-2 into the bye, and it's going to get real tough after the bye, but at least we're not buried yet.